Hey everyone, Kitana here, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to my Astro community. In today's video, I'm going to tell you guys about all 12 houses in astrology. And in today's video, I'm going to tell you how the houses manifest in your chart and more importantly, in your life. So by the end of this video, your birth chart is going to make a lot more sense. So if you guys are new here, I'd love to have you a part of my Astro community. So go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want your own personal reading, go to my Etsy shop. It's linked down below, and I'll put the website on the screen. It's called theastrokit.com. So let's just get into these houses. Okay guys, so let's talk about the 7th house. Okay, so the 7th house is really important in astrology, of course, because it represents relationships, marriage, business partnerships, and overall one-on-one interpersonal relationships. And I will say with the 7th house, like how that manifests in your life is that it really shows you what kind of relationships you attract, what kind of relationships, almost like the energy and the dynamics that your relationships take on. For example, if you have like a Mercury, like Mercury is in your 7th house, or Mercury rules your 7th house, you're somebody who has very like talkative relationships, like you like to communicate with your partner. The 7th house isn't necessarily romantic, it's just about partnerships. So a lot of times we see like marriages and relationships with the 7th house. But yeah, overall, the planets you have in this house really influence your relationships. So a lot of times, if you're somebody who maybe struggles with relationships, or you feel like you can't keep them, or there's always some issue with them, you have to look at your 7th house, what planets are there, even what asteroids are there, or what is happening with your 7th house ruler, and it can really show you why your relationships pan out how they do, especially romantic ones. Let's say you have you always have great relationships with people. You might have Jupiter in the 7th house. Yeah, overall, I can go on and on with examples, but the condition of the 7th house really shows you the dynamics of your relationships, what kind of dynamics they take on, what kind of energy you have with other people, and how you really act within one-on-one relationships. And yeah, like I said, it's not just about romantic relationships, it's really about friendships too. You can see like how you, like the kind of friends you might attract. Even business partnerships, like you can just kind of see what kind of business partnerships you have. It's just not all about romance, but it really, people always think about marriage and romance with the 7th house, and that's really what it is. So yeah, like I said, really look at your 7th house ruler, look at the planet that rules your 7th house, see where it is in your birth chart, and you really get an idea about what kind of partner is best for you, what kind of partners you already naturally attract, and what kind of relationships you naturally will have throughout life. I think 7th house really shows you themes within your relationships. Like it never fails. Like whatever you have going on in your 7th house really shows you what like the main themes with relationships throughout your life. So yeah, overall the main takeaways for 7th house is that it represents partnerships, one-on-one relationships, business partnerships, and overall the energy those relationships take on. Okay, so let's talk about the 8th house. Okay, so 8th house is very interesting and complex. There's a lot to talk about with 8th house, but basically it's ruled by Scorpio naturally. So 8th house, kind of like on a basic level, it represents inheritance, it represents taxes, debt, anything having to do with other people's money, shared resources, shared money. So it can represent kind of like joint resources in marriage. Like for example, 7th house you can see like actually like marriage straight up, but with 8th house you see like the financial like status of your marriage, or the financial status when you get married. But even on a deeper level, I think 8th house really represents like what kind of like secrets, like the deeper parts of our mind, like the deeper parts of our spirit. I think 8th house is a very, like I said, it's a very complex house. I think it represents like our own psychology as well. And I think it represents like spiritual inheritance too, like almost like karmic inheritance we get from our family. And 8th house also represents intimacy too. So like I said, how that might manifest in your life is that we can see what kind of like intimacy we are interested in, or we kind of see how comfortable we are with intimacy. We can kind of see our own secrets, or kind of like the deeper parts of our mind. Like if you have Sun in the 6th house, like you might have a very complex, deep mind. You might be interested in psychology naturally. Also 8th house kind of represents like spirituality to me. So if you have like Mercury in the 8th house, you might be kind of psychic. You might be very into the occult. It's all about like the hidden things of life, right? 8th house is all about what's hidden. So you might be into like the hidden parts about life if you're an 8th house stellium, or all, it just represents this deep psychological energy. So like I said, 8th house is kind of complex, it's kind of hard to explain, but like I said, with like on a mundane like physical level, it represents inheritance, debt, and kind of shared resources and other people's money. I did a video about how, like, if you have Jupiter in the 8th house, it represents, like, you might gain a lot of inheritance from people. But like I said, on a spiritual sense, it represents this deep psychological energy we have in our minds, I guess, and our connection to the occult, our connection to what's hidden in life, maybe our fears in life, our secrets, how comfortable we are with intimacy. And really what planets we have there and what sign rules there really manifests in life. Like, it shows you how comfortable you are with those subjects of life. Okay, so let's talk about the 9th house. Okay, so 9th house, it's naturally ruled by Sagittarius. 9th house is all about travel. It's about spirituality. It's about kind of almost like a spiritual journey in a sense. It also represents foreign lands, going with this theme of travel. It also represents higher learning, higher education. So really, like, on a mundane level, like I said, it represents higher education. So whatever planets you have here or planetary ruler you have there, it shows, for one, it shows you, like, your college experience. Like, if you went to college, if you want to go to college, if going to college will suit you, you can see that with your 9th house, because it's all about higher education, right? It's about how we pursue knowledge beyond school, right? So if you're very interested in knowledge, you might have, like, Sun in the 9th house or, like, Venus in the 9th house, where you're just always pursuing higher knowledge. For 9th house too, it's, like, all about spirituality, right? Sagittarius is a very spiritual sign, even though it, you know, it gets a certain reputation, right? But it's all about spirituality. Like, what are you interested in a spiritual sense? And I feel like it really shows you a peek at your, like, spiritual journey as well. So like I said, if you have personal planets in this house, it's like, okay, you might be very invested in your spiritual journey. You're very invested in learning spiritual knowledge. And then again, on a, like, physical mundane level, 9th house is, like, travel. So if you're somebody who loves to travel, you're always traveling. You might have, like, Jupiter in the 9th house. You might have Sun in the 9th house. You have Venus in the 9th house. It's like you might find love abroad, right? You just love to travel. And even more than that, it's like you just love learning about different cultures. You love learning about cultures that are not your own, you know what I mean? So yeah, overall, I think, you know, 9th house is all about learning too, and it's like what you like to learn, like, in a higher way, if that makes sense, beyond just, like, a basic, simple way. And then again, it represents, like, long distance travel, really. The 3rd house is all about short distance travel, but 9th house is all about, like, overseas, going on flights. So with 9th house, you can see what kind of travel life you have, or if you like to travel, or if you have traveled, or if you will travel a lot in your life. And really, like, your higher learning, how you like to learn, what kind of topics interest you in a, like, very deep way beyond the basic learning that we learn in school. And then again, of course, we can see, like, what kind of college experience we had, what kind of college experience we will have, university experience we'll have. If we even go to university, we could see that with the 9th house. And overall, it's about this sense of spirituality and spiritual journey as well. Okay, so let's talk about the 10th house. Okay, so the 10th house is really important. It really represents our public reputation, our public image, our career, and really how we work hard to achieve what we want. Of course, the 10th house is naturally ruled by Capricorn, so we think about this Saturn energy, right? When we think about the 10th house, it's all about working hard to achieve status. It's all about social status. It's all about work ethic. It's about our career. And really, 10th house is, like, how we climb the mountain, right? So with 10th house, of course, how that manifests in your life, it really shows you the career that's best suited for you, and really the career, like, you might, like, end up in, or the career that you really would love to have. 10th house is so important too, because it's all about reputation. I don't know if I said that in the beginning, but it's about reputation. It's about, like, how people view you, how people, you know, really interact with you in a public sense. So you can think about it as, like, almost how you're viewed. Let's say you're a high schooler, like, that's how you're viewed at your high school, how you're viewed at your job, how you're viewed at your, like, maybe even how you're viewed online. It's just about how the public really sees you. Like, if you really wanted to get, like, insight about how people view your reputation, or what kind of reputation you generally carry with yourself, you look at your 10th house. So for example, like, the main example would be, like, Sun in the 10th house usually indicates popularity. So with 10th house, you can see, like, our levels levels of popularity, our levels of social status. We can see if we even care about social status, right? We can see if we work hard to try to achieve social status. And the 10th house really represents this kind of like masculine energy. We think about Saturn, right? And 10th house can really represent your father too, or your father figure in your life. It can represent like your mentors as well. And going with that same theme, it represents it manifests like how your personal work ethic, like how you work hard to achieve social status. Because of course your 10th house is also called your midheaven. So midheaven is like the highest point in the sky, right? So it's the point of your chart everyone sees. So like I said, it's your public self, how people view you, and it's really your career too. So you can look there, look at the planets you have in your 10th house to really see what career would even suit you, what career would benefit you, what career would fulfill you in some way. So yeah, 10th house is, oh my god, can you guys see my cat? He's so cute. Come here, baby. And you can look at the 10th house ruler, like the planet that rules your 10th house, see where that's placed, see how it's aspected, and really get more insight about your career, your reputation, and how that plays out throughout your life. Okay, so let's talk about the 11th house. 11th house is naturally ruled by Aquarius. And the 11th house is really interesting because it's all about community, organizations. It's also about social media too. It's about your hopes and dreams. And it's also about kind of like social groups and friend groups as well. So with 11th house, the main thing I will say about it is I just talked about the 10th house. And like I said, 10th house is all about how we work hard to achieve social status in life. And then 11th house shows us how we gain from this hard work, if that makes sense. So it shows us, like, let's say you have a certain career based on your 10th house. 11th house shows you how you will gain from that. 11th house also shows you your hopes and dreams and wishes as it pertains, like, overall in your life, but also with your career too. And with 11th house, I think how that manifests in your life, it really shows you, like, what kind of friend groups you're in, what kind of organizations you're part of, if you even like to be in friend groups, if you like to be in groups, if you don't like to be in groups. If that's like something you are very passionate about. 11th house to me is kind of like about service too. Like maybe you're somebody who loves to volunteer or be of service to community or a service to communities or humanity in some way. You could see that with the 11th house. And then like I said, it represents social media and just overall the sense of technology as well. So you can see with 11th house, if you like to use social media a lot, if you're very popular online, if you aren't popular online, if you kind of like, I can always see with birth charts, you can always see like if someone has like a lot of online friends or online groups, or you're just a very online technology driven person. It also shows you like what kind of friend groups you naturally just attract to you. You know what I mean? If you're naturally just popular with people, if you're naturally not very popular, it just shows you what kind of friends you always attract or what kind of friend groups you're always in. And then, of course, like I said, it represents your hopes and wishes. So it can represent your dreams in life, your dreams for humanity. I think we all have like a dream of like humanity or what we want society to look like, right? So we can see that with 11th house. Okay, yeah, so the main takeaways for 11th house is that it really represents our friend groups, communities, what kind of communities or friend groups we're a part of, online life, social media. It represents our connection with humanity. Really our connection in the collective consciousness, how we perceive ourselves in the collective consciousness, like on a like spiritual, mental level, not really a physical level. And then also it represents our hopes and dreams as well. And of course it represents the gains we receive from the 10th house. And overall what I mean by that is like the gains you receive in life, like overall your gains in life. This is kind of a money house too. Did I mention that? It's kind of like your 2nd and 11th house really shows you how you will gain financially or create prosperity for yourself in life. Okay, so let's talk about the 12th house. Okay, so 12th house is kind of like scary. 12th house is kind of complex and there's like so much like about it. But basically the need to know basics of the 12th house is that it's the Pisces house, right? It's naturally ruled by Pisces. And it's all about this connection to the universe. It's about the connection to our subconscious mind. It's all about abandonment, imprisonment. It's also about isolation too. And overall in astrology, I'm not going to lie to you guys, the 12th house kind of has like I said, it has this connotation of like what's hidden, like almost in a, I don't want to say negative way, but it's like what's hidden in our subconscious, kind of like, in not the best way. Like the 12th house isn't like this happy, cheery house, you know what I mean? It's kind of like this kind of spooky territory. Basically with 12th house, like I said, it rules dreams too. 12th house is all about the subconscious, let's be honest. It's all about secrets too. It's all about our subconscious fears. So whatever planets you have in this house, whatever planetary ruler you have for this house or sign, it's like what your subconscious fears are. It also shows you your past life as well. So it kind of shows you maybe what you incarnated as, or like what you kind of were doing in your past life and how that carries into this life. So like if you're a 12th house person, 12th house people are very interesting because they're very connected to the spirit world. They're kind of like those type of people that it seems like they're never really present. Like they can be present obviously physically, but sometimes mentally they're just kind of zoned out. They're mentally kind of all like in the universe or in the ether, you know what I mean? And also, if you have personal planets in this house, it also shows an inclination towards having, like, spiritual gifts, like being psychic. You have Mercury in the 12th house, you can be psychic. Moon in the 12th house, you can be kind of psychic. But like I said, it kind of represents fears as well. So whatever planets you have here kind of shows your subconscious fears. And it also shows you, too, like, your dreams. Like, I know I'm someone with Uranus in the 12th house, so in my dreams, they're usually very vivid, or my dreams are very unpredictable, you know what I mean? So it kind of shows what kind of dreams you have if you don't dream at all. Maybe you have, like, Saturn in the 12th house. And then, like I said, 12th house is also the sense of abandonment and isolation. So what I mean by that is, like, whatever is here kind of shows you, like, how that would manifest in your life. It kind of shows you something about how the planet influences your house. It's like maybe you feel abandoned in some way, or something you abandon yourself, or something you like to feel like if you had Sun in the 12th house, you might be somebody who likes to feel isolated a lot. Like you like to isolate yourself. You don't like to be super social all the time. You always need those moments where you're just isolated by yourself. Solitude, hermit mode. So yeah, if you're a 12th house person, comment down below and like tell me your experience with that. It's such a complex thing to talk about. It's so weird. But yeah, overall I would describe it as how it manifests is like mostly, like, 12th house is really our connection to the spirit, like, spirit world. So, if you're a 12th house person, you probably are very connected to the spirit world. So, yeah, overall, takeaways with the 12th house is that it represents this sense of spirituality, our connection to our dreams, our subconscious mind, also our fears in life, even represents our past lives, also represents isolation and abandonment, also this sense of imprisonment. So yeah, comment down below your house placements and if you really resonate with them, and tell me like how they manifest in your life, because house placements can really manifest in different ways. So go ahead and comment down below, tell me your house placements, and if you learned something in this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you a part of my Astro community. If you want your own personal reading, go to my website, theastrokit.com, and I'll see you guys in my next video.